And we'll blast off and call the Village of North Hudson Regular Board of Trustees meeting to order at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 7th. A slight invocation that we have is, Father, we ask you for wisdom, guidance, and discernment in the decisions we make that affect our village and its residents. We also ask you to watch over our police and all who serve. Roll call, please.
Trustee Keller.
Here.
Trustee McGarren.
Here.
Trustee Nelson.
Here.
Trustee Olson.
Here.
Trustee Pike.
Here.
Trustee Porter.
Here.
And President Wecken.
Here. Drop to the bottom of the list. Damn size. Okay, item 2, review and approve minutes from the regular board meeting of March 26th and reorg meeting of April 23rd.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dusty. Is there any additions, corrections, or amendments to the minutes of either meeting? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes as approved or as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And item 3, which I'm guessing we've got a boardroom full, is comments from the floor. It's an opportunity for Village of North Hudson residents, property owners, and business owners to make the board aware of topics, issues, opportunities, either on or not on today's agenda.
President Wecken, move for a recognition.
Excuse me?
Can I speak? I think that we've got 2 public hearings. We've got comments from the floor right now, and then we've got a public hearing on the levy for assessments as item number 7. Are you suggesting that we combine those right now and that everyone who's here speak under 3 that's here for 7?
This is for stuff that's not on the agenda, this particular item.
Either on or
Okay,
not
just so that everyone understands that if they're here to speak for the public hearing on the levy, that's item number 7.
Correct.
That's a great point out. Yeah, so any Fifth Street resurfacing the levy comments, if you'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to. We just need to have your name and address if you'd like to speak.
And so right now, again, we're at, or if it's not on the agenda, is there anyone here that wants to address anything going on in the village we might not know about that's not on our agenda?
Good evening, board members. My name is Garrett Farber. Good evening, village residents, chief. I'm here to voice my experience underneath a current slumlord of the village here that I've been living under for the last multitude of years. I am no longer living there. That's the good news. I moved last week. I'm mainly concerned about other landlords, slumlords like this for the health of our community here in the North Hudson Village. I've been a part of this community for the better part of 10 years. Finally, last January, I had the gumption to do something about this and bring this to light. I had Mr. Brian Wirt, before he retired, and his cohort, Tony, I forget Tony's last name. They came over to the home last January and inspected the home, and it fell under many coding violations for structural damages, also Department of Health codes as well. Since then, I did report this to the state. I did hear back from them as well. I do have a copy of the report for the board members if you would like that. I've spoke with a few of you, emailed a few of you this building inspection from Tony. In prior days, just in the last week and a half, the current owner of that property, Mr. Ranjit Bagyam, has interrupted a building inspection by Tony, physically putting himself between Tony and the front door of this, stopping this inspection from happening. Furthermore, a few days after that, and being that day, one of the board members here, Chief Mark over here at Outflow, had the opportunity to see a little bit of outrage and some nasty comments here in the village from this said gentleman, which I think should be also under some kind of investigation. This cannot be unreconciled. This extreme negligence, it's currently infested with rats, mice, squirrels. There's holes in the ceiling from a windstorm where a tree fell in the house. 3 years ago, and nothing's being done about this. Furnace has failed multiple times every winter. Anytime you plug anything in, any kind of appliances, I get 120 volts right to me. Fuse boxes are blowing out all over the place. There's fire hazard from non-insulated water pipes and furnace things. HVAC. It's basically just I'm clearly a little jostled by this here. That how can this be dealt with? How can this be allowed in the village when you care so much about the people here? But what does that say about his character? Does he actually care about the residents that he is and the villagers that he is renting to, leasing to? In regard to all of that, I'm thankful that my girlfriend, we're expecting our first child in August here, finally out from this dump that is covered in black. I mean, it's covered in black mold, no insulation peeking through. It's just a rat's nest. So I moved to have to experience to rewrite some or write some bylaws requiring landlords to pull actual legal permits, to pull legal contractors instead of henchmen coming over in all hours of the night, falling through the roof, leaving holes for water to drip in. Also, with the rodent infestation that's there, that is a huge thing for my therapy animals that I've had for the last many years, as they carry many diseases. They carry fleas, things like that. God forbid I were to bring my young son into this world, have him live under a roof like that and experience any kind of diseases that he might catch. So yeah, I'm just bringing this to enlightenment here to the village. I've spoken with other villagers and other tenants, both from this gentleman and from other landlords here in town, that have not voiced opinion to my knowledge to the board or to the village of North Hudson. But we've talked about it in public areas and saying, oh, hey, this has happened with so and so, but nothing happens after that. It just goes, those comments, they just eat and it tears them apart inside, and they just put up with it. And I don't necessarily think that's fair for the public safety and the public health of this village that I know and I love so much, and I reside here, and a lot of my extensive family resides here as well. Did anybody have any questions?
We cannot respond in this particular, but we appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and we'll try to assign it to committees that would work on
Excellent.
those kind of that kind of issue. Yeah, we don't really, we definitely don't support that in the village, and we appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
In addition, I might add that I do have a plethora of photos of such infractures to this domicile and the domicile that I used to share the wall with, which is twice as bad as what's happening on that current one at 301 4th Street North here in the village of North Hudson. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Can you also state your name for the record?
Garrett Farber, Garret Farber. Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else that has anything on that's not on the agenda that they would like to discuss? Hearing none. We'll go on to new business from the board or staff. And first on that is always president's comments. And I have a few that we want to discuss. It's like I wanted to say that obviously we've had an election, and every year we have a reorg meeting, and all of the committees and commissions that we have in the village have been assigned, and we have pretty full staff. But that means that anybody that is still interested or would like to be on a committee or commission, there's we have people move, or we have people other issues. So I hope that if you were interested in getting more involved in the village, contact the village hall, and we will put your name on a list and give us an idea of what you would like to be a part of. Let's see. The next thing I got is this is I believe this is National Nurses and First Responders Recognition Week. I hope everybody will take a chance or the opportunity to thank our nurses and first responders and those that are here to serve. And please don't forget our police and firefighters involved in that, because they are also first responders and are very much involved, and we are thankful for them. The next item I'd like to say is we have, let's see, I think it's Sunday that happy Mother's Day to everyone out there that, mothers that we celebrate. And it's, I'm always been one that says, hey, we should celebrate mothers every day of the year, not just on one day, but there's many holidays that are like that. But please, I hope everyone has a safe and happy Mother's Day. Next one I have is we have Memorial Day coming up, so please remember our fallen military heroes as we honor them on Memorial Day. And again, we should be honoring every day. I know the VFW and American Legion has a service every Memorial Day. They have an early service at St. Patrick's Cemetery, and then they have a bigger ceremony at Willow River Cemeteries. So please, check the Star Observer or this Facebook possibly for times when that will happen. It's usually 10 or 11 o'clock at Willow River, and it's always a very nice group of people that gather, and it is a good opportunity to honor our fallen heroes. Next is administrator clerk comments. Gina?
All right, so as Dan mentioned, we did have our first election of the year that is complete. We did make some process changes to try and make it smoother as people went through the election process. We did do a lessons learned with our election workers afterwards and have a list of things to make it even more efficient, so we'll be doing that. Our goal is to have November be as smooth as possible. So thank you for everyone who showed out. We actually showed up. We did have a very good outcome for our first election of 2024. As I mentioned during our finance meeting, our annual audit has begun, so we are working with our auditors to prepare and complete the processes needed to pass our audit. We had our open book was held last Wednesday, May 1st. Our Board of Review meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, May 8th from 10 to 12. So that is an opportunity. If anyone had concerns about their current assessed values, that would have been the chance to talk to the assessor about their current values, different from what's coming here with the reassessment at 5th Street. We do have 5 requests for active bids or requests for bids that are active at the moment for some pressure release valves, chip sealing, Village Hall upgrades, Browns Beach, and 5th Street, as Kevin will speak to here in a minute. So there are 5 bids open within the village at the moment. And then my last update is regarding waste management. We've received quite a few concerns and comments about some of these services from waste management, and we are working with their administration. There was, I think the biggest issue we saw last week was there's one of their trucks must have had a hole. There was glass that was all over the roads. So we did call and ask them to look into that. We did send out our street sweepers afterwards to clean up in the meantime, and that helped. We did notice on this week's run there was no glass, so we are thankful for that, but we'll continue to monitor that. And other things such as missed pickups, cans being returned in the middle of driveways, and even yards being ran over. So we are aware of that and are actively working with them to resolve those issues.
Thank you, Gina. Okay, item 5. Recognition for committee members. Well, we've had several of our long-term committee members that have been, had, well, I don't want to say they've had enough, but they've got other things going on. And there's a lot of experience with the different committees that we're very thankful that for the dedication and service that they've had and that they put in. And I see our longest serving committee member that's no longer going to be helping us out because other things are going on in his life is Mike Miser. His dedication and commitment to the village of North Hudson, serving on several committees and commissions since 2003. So Mike, if you would like to pop up here, I'd like to present you with your certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much for your dedication, and you've been a great help to the village, so, especially with Plan Commission, because that's been a lot of work over the years, so thank you
And
very
not only
much.
that, I was only there a year or two and the chairman left. And somehow,
Yeah, yeah, you learn by under fire, right?
on the fly, thank you.
You bet, thank you, Mike. And the next certificate is for Dan Kraft. I don't think Dan is here, but he has been on Police Commission since 2009. So another very well-seasoned commissioner that will be missed, and we'll make sure we get his certificate sent out to him. And the final one is for Mary Wecken in recognition for her commitment to the Village of North Hudson, serving on several committees, also since 2009. And I know she's doing yard work, so she won't be, she isn't able to attend because, there's still daylight, so there's stuff that she's always got stuff going on, so.
Dan, we better give her a round of applause. She's going to watch us later.
Well, we're gonna get,
Mary deserves one.
she's gonna be watching it.
She's one of 12 views.
But no, she's been a blessing to me in a lot of different research, and she's been on 3 or 4 committees. So police, plan, some of the big committees. So
She was great on the plan commission. Fabulous.
thank you,
Knows a
Mike.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, she's been very committed. And I says, how can you bail on me when we're in the middle of all this? But yeah, she's got other stuff to do right now. So again, I thank all of those that are not on the, or that are going on to other interests, and we are very happy that you were involved. Okay, item 6. Resident request for revision of Village Ordinance, Section 98-5, clarification for garages, discussion only. Gina?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this forward. We did get a resident who inquired about seeking additional clarification for the definition of an unattached garage. It states today that residential garages should not exceed 900 square feet of floor space and shall be of materials that are architecturally compatible with the principal structure. What he's asking for is clarification for future building permits on what that definition means. His proposal definition would be compatible means that the design, materials, colors, and overall aesthetics of the garage should be the same as the principal structure.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none.
So what do we do with this
Yeah,
feedback?
so the question is this something that we want to consider bringing back and updating our ordinance to then be brought back in front of the board to be approved? Is this something the board feels like is a good idea, or is sometimes clarity can be more of a hindrance than it can be helpful? And so it's just brought forward for discussion before any action was taken on it.
What committee would that go to?
I don't know.
Seems like it should go to a committee.
So it would be public safety.
Planning?
Planning, yeah.
Yeah, plan.
It wouldn't be welfare.
It'd
Yeah,
be planning.
planning.
So I would ask that we would move that to the plan commission to review. I think a lot of our ordinances need some work, so it's not a bad thing to consider.
Yeah, you put that-
And it can come from them too, so they could decide if they think they need to move this forward, that would
Yeah.
be sent to us.
Yeah, and it's discussion only, so we'll, Gina has it noted, and we'll go with, we'll put it in plans lap. They got several things coming up soon. And it'll be good for the new members, because we had, at least 2 of them that retired and are on the list, so that's, it'll help them get oriented to what we've got going on here. Okay, item 7, public hearing levying special assessments for Fifth Street resurfacing. And I would make a motion to open the public hearing at 7:20.
Second.
Thank you. Is that Brian? Thank you. And the next item is public comments, but let's see, prior to, well, let's see.
You gonna vote on your motion?
I'll open the public hearing. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. All in favor of opening the public hearing at 7:20, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you. This list is public comments, and
I want to speak first, real quick, Kevin.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I'd like to move Kevin up to, a little bit ahead of that, so that you
Sure.
can explain what's going on.
Okay, sure. So this is basically our Fifth Street resurfacing project. If you remember, the village was able to get some LRIP funds. And with that, we're looking at moving forward with the construction of this project. And before we can move forward with that portion of it, we have special assessments that go along with it. It's basically what we did a couple of years ago with the St. Croix Street project. And I'll just go through the report, kind of hit on the highlights. So basically, the projects will be from Wisconsin Street up to Monroe Street. It's just gonna be a resurfacing, so we're not gonna be doing anything with the water main, any of the sanitary sewer, any of the curb gutter, any of the driveways. It's just basically removing 3 inches of asphalt and paving back in with the same thickness, 3 inches. So with that, according to the village's assessment policy, since it's over 20 years old, it's a 50-50 split. So 50% the village will be funding, with the remainder being the property owners along the length of the project itself. Item number 4, and again, this is just preliminary. The project currently is out for bids. Those will come back to the village at the end of the month, and they'll be presented at the June board meeting for hopefully a award. So this is just looking before that, kind of a engineer's estimate of where we think the numbers are gonna come in at. With that, I estimate the project to be a little over $124,000. And again, with a 50-50 split, about 62,000 of that will be assessed against the particular property owners.
Kevin,
Yes.
could you explain why we're doing what we're doing? I mean, how do we come to the conclusion that street needs done, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the village over the years, they put together a 5-year capital improvement plan. This particular street has a pretty low PACER rating.
Explain pacer rating.
So, yeah. So basically, this classification that the DOT has come up with, a number 1 is really low on the scale. That's one of your worst streets within the community. And then a number 10 is one that's just been reconstructed, within the year. And those are rated every 2 years.
Why? Tell them why they're rated.
So we have, an idea of where we kind of need to, put our dollars towards. And with the different ratings, there's different treatment that can be done, whether it's a chip seal or a crack fill. This particular street with a 3, it's pretty low. So basically, you're at a point where you have to remove the existing surface. It's just too far gone to try to do any maintenance with those types of streets.
Thank you.
Yes. So then page number 7, it's the project location map. And then you can see the PIN numbers that are associated with it. And as a whole, there's about 27 parcels that'll be affected. Page number 8 is more of the detailed information to come up with actually the construction costs at $124,000. And then Schedule C gets into the numbers of themselves. You know, the property owners, the street addresses, the front footages, the accessible front footage that goes along with it. There's different credits that are given to different parcels based on whether it's a corner lot. You don't necessarily assess both sides. Some of the streets have already been assessed previously, the St. Croix Street being one of them. So, if they got assessed on the
Can
St.
I ask
Croix.
a question?
Yes,
So if the corner lots,
yes.
they don't necessarily get assessed both sides. Well, they will eventually, right? So say they're on Fifth Street, they've got a quarter of the footage that is really there. Why are they not getting assessed that whole footage that's on that side?
It's basically, there's a credit that's given according to the assessment policy. The short side is the one that kind of dictates on what is going to be accessible. And then anything on the longer side, anything above 125 feet, that's what's considered a set, the 125 is a
The 120, I'm sorry, the 125 is what?
credited.
Okay.
So anything above and beyond that, then that would be what would be accessible. So corner lots have a credit system to them, and it's all spelt out in your assessment policy that the village has adopted.
Okay.
And some of those things are, I try highlighting those with asterisks, and they're on the last page, down towards the bottom. Just to kind of summarize, whether the short side is the one that's accessible or, anything on the long side excess of 150 feet. Those are all called out. So it gives you an idea. So as you can see, when you go all the way over to the right-hand side, that's where we anticipate, what the accessible amounts are gonna be per parcel. So they range from a low of around $670 up to $3,350 at this point. And the property owners have the option of paying those up front, or you can put them on your tax roll. And there's a table that's provided on page 4, depending on your value, will give you an idea of how many years you can spread those costs out. So with these numbers that's being presented, they would vary from 2 years up to 4 years. They have the option of, if they choose that. Again, this is preliminary, so after the project is completely constructed, all the quantities are finalized, then we have to come back to the village board with a final special assessment. That will be actually the final numbers.
And you're thinking June?
So the bid results will come back to the village board in June.
Okay.
So we'll be looking for award to whoever the lowest bidder is. And then the project itself, we have a completion timeline of October this year. So it'll be probably after that before we present the final assessment report.
So you're saying the bids will come to us on our June 4th meeting? That's,
That's the goal. Yeah.
and then we will award
Yep.
on June 4th?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask 2 more questions?
Yes,
First question is the LRIP funds.
yes.
Where do those come in play?
So basically, the way the assessment policy reads, those funds will actually go towards the village's share. If it's more than what that amount is, what was awarded, then they would get distributed to the property owners. But with the amount that's being, it was like a little over $20,000.
Oh.
And with the village's share at 60, unfortunately, we can't give any.
The other
cost share.
question that I do have, thank you for that though, is
Yeah.
why wait so long? If this street was a 3, we wait 20 years, why would we not do it sooner and surface the street so we're not tearing up 3 inches and replacing 3 inches and being so costly for the village and the homeowners?
It basically comes down to a lot of it funding, grant dollars that are out there to try to offset those costs.
So Public Works goes after like these LRIP funds.
Right.
Every year we apply, we don't always get accepted, but we are constantly trying to apply to get as many, and there's more than one kind of fund.
Right.
We try and get as many funds as we can, and then on our plan, the capital improvement plan, we know which are the worst, and they're popping first. And so this one happens to be the next one up, and we have some funding for it, so that's kind of how Public Works has been working since I've been here anyway.
And they've made it more of a priority. A lot of times, something like this can go, you pick the chart of the priority, this Public Works Director has made that more of a priority to try to get us caught up in better streets and roads.
Thank you.
Kevin, it said in your report that there's not going to be any replacement of water or sewer pipes with this project. Can you talk about what that means to the homeowners and what that means to the village? I mean, how old are those pipes underneath that section of the street?
I personally, I'd have to take a look at them. I know we looked at the sanitary sewer.
Mine's 100 years old.
Again, I'd have to look at, a lot of times you can look at the hydrants out there and get an idea of what the age of the water main is. 100 years old, I don't see it being that old.
So how can we, I mean,
We'll have time to talk, guys, so. just, yeah.
I think we
One at a
would,
time, please.
I think we would want to understand that as part of this project, just because I wouldn't want to see the homeowners get reassessed in the near future because the street has to be dug up to replace the pipes.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that we talk, at the Public Works, to come up with, what needs to be done with each individual project. And the sewer and water portion was not included in that.
What comes to us, what we end up prioritizing is where we're having breaks more often than not. Those are getting priorities. If we have water main breaks or we know we have sewer problems, on our list for doing, on our capital improvement plan, it isn't just a resurface. It is resurface, replace sewer and water. So we've done projects like that, and we'll continue to do projects like that. But Fifth Street, as far as I know, we haven't heard any problems on Fifth Street as far as sewer and water goes.
I guess I think it would be great if we had some clarity about that.
So by clarity, you want us to televise?
If it hasn't been done, I guess I'd like to hear from our engineer what would be appropriate if, as we're talking about ripping up the street and replacing it and assessing the homeowners, like what's appropriate for what we should be considering.
Yeah, and that's something that the village does. They televise. I think you're on a 5-year rotation. So
Every
they
five.
pick, every 5 years, one section of pipe within the village is being televised. And that's kind of where Brian comes in. Those are the things that we look at and, observe and note in our capital improvement plan that, those areas need to be addressed.
So has this area been televised?
We've been, yes, doing this for over 5 years.
This section of road that we're talking about has been televised for the quality of the pipes.
I'm pretty sure it has.
I don't remember. But we have to do televising every 5 years. So that has been going on, and if we get a reported problem from the television side of it, we get word from our Public Works Director that we need to add that section.
So I know we've had discussions about the status of our televising the pipes, and I would like us to understand the condition of the pipes and how recently they were televised before we take action.
Okay, and you're talking about the storm sewer or
I'm talking about
water?
whatever we should be looking at before we replace the
Okay,
street.
so
Again, I leave that to, I think that's Kevin's.
I'm not sure
guidance.
that's going to be our decision, if that
Well,
makes.
I don't know either, but right now it's in front of us.
That's a complicated answer.
I understand, but right now it's in front of us.
We have a lot of things in front of us right now, and this is part of that. So I'm not sure how to answer you.
Well, I think we can find out if the pipes were televised
Well,
before
that,
we vote on this.
Yeah, we can
You
find
can-
out.
We're not even voting on anything yet.
yeah, we're not voting on anything
But
here.
next month.
Yeah.
And those bids are good for 60 days, so it's not necessarily that you have to make a decision at the next June board meeting. I know we'll have a public works meeting
Yeah,
this month, and obviously we'll talk about that, just to confirm that everything is in good shape. Because St. Croix Street, and, you know, another example, 2 years ago, we didn't do anything with those pipes that were underneath those streets.
But how long ago was that street done? Was that 20 years also?
Yes, that was over 20 years. Yep.
Okay.
And you have a question?
No, you can, with public comments, when we get done
Okay.
with Kevin, you know, I've seen your hand up. You know, that,
I'm being patient.
so that's,
Get
you know,
that.
and I didn't want to interrupt the other, you know, the discussion that was going on. But yeah, your public comments is next on the list, so all you that are here for the,
What I got to say goes with what he's saying.
well, just wait until we're done here, and you can be first if you want.
So we're not going to take action today, is what I'm hearing. That item D, possible action, we're not taking action.
No, it's just,
Well, you have to accept his report.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
the
just-
action is to accept the report as a preliminary assessment. It
Right.
doesn't mean you're committing to do the work. It's saying we're accepting that this is what was submitted by Cedar Corp as the recommendation
Correct.
for that street.
Yep.
That is what that, D is.
The actual construction will come in front of the village board at the June board meeting. You know, whoever the lowest bidder is for the project.
So said another way, you could say this, we accept what has been submitted by Cedar Corp, and in June say, we're not ready, or we don't accept the bids. You could do that,
Yep.
but, or you could not accept.
Yep.
does the board have any more questions for Kevin?
Thank you for answering all of my many questions.
No problem.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
You can take a chair for now. And now we'll address public comments. So, sir, if you would come up to the podium, state your name and your address.
My name is Dan Hanson. I live at 317 Fifth Street North. You were saying that there's no problem with the water lines. You're wrong. Mine froze out I've been here 20 years and they froze out 3 times. Because of the shallow water lines. Now, if you got the shallow water lines and you do all of this construction, you might have to dig it back up again. I also got tree roots right at the curb. I got a roto-rooter once a year at the curb. It's at 78 feet from the house out. It's right at the curb, and it's because of the tree roots. So you do have problems, whether you like it or not. They're there. So if you're gonna do something great for the city, fix the problem first.
So, just so I'm clear, when we were talking about water lines, we're talking about the water lines under the street that
Under the street
and then
and come back up into the house.
actually from the house to the curb
From the
is,
house to the main was froze.
can you address that? Our responsibility related to the house to the curb or main?
The services, so your sewer and water service?
Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, according to PSC, the village is responsible from the main to the curb stop. Anything beyond the curb stop is the property owner. In regards to the sewer, since that's not regulated by PSC, by village ordinance, the property owner is responsible from the main all the way to the house. So that's the way we've always
I had
done it within
on
the
St.
village.
Croix County, I had to pay for that part. City paid for get it to the spot, and then my house, I had to pay for that extra part.
When we did 35, can you explain how that worked?
Yeah, again, I mean,
Well, I'm just saying,
there's
you know,
assessments.
you're gonna do all this work, and 2 years from now, you're gonna tear it all up to fix it right?
That's not our plan, no.
Well, it ain't mine either.
But what we're saying is that if your water is freezing from the house to the curb stop,
Yes.
that is your responsibility. We can't do that work on private property.
It goes beyond that. The little shut-off valve that you're
Yep.
talking about?
Right.
It's frozen beyond that into
Into the main. Okay, did you give us your address?
317.
317, okay.
I've had that problem before. The city's been out there. They had, the country plumbing place come out and they snaked it with a little hose and got it out and water sprayed all over hell and it was a big mess.
Okay,
But they did it a couple of times for sure.
okay. We'll look at it.
Yeah, they did it.
No, we appreciate the input.
I have a question for our attorney. Are we supposed to be engaging in conversation right now?
Well,
Public comment.
it's public comment, and you can answer if
Okay.
a question comes up.
Okay,
If it's on the agenda, you can
You
talk
want-
about it.
You don't want it to get too far-fetched.
right. Okay,
So-
thank you.
Thank you.
Get into it.
Come on up. Come on up.
I was gonna say, most of my questions are for Kevin, so you should just stay there. We'll raise our hand in the classroom. Oh, good. So I'm Carolyn Wankin. I own 324 Fifth Street North. I have a few questions just because this is all new to me. I really appreciate Trustee McGurran's point with the water pipes. When I moved in, my basement flooded. They came out and roto-rooted and munched up all the tree branches and everything that were in there. They had to call in the big dogs and brought in this huge machine because they thought my line from the curb stop to the house had collapsed. And so they were really concerned about that. It had not, thankfully, but yes, I would have been responsible for tearing up the sidewalk, replacing all the sidewalk and my line, which is overwhelming. That was the first year I moved in. So then they got all the way out to the street and they were concerned about the water main. So my question is how to report problems from our roto-rooter guy. How do we report those?
Typically reach out to the
Call the village,
village or
yep.
public
village?
works, public
Okay.
works director or,
Yep.
yep.
And then I feel like it was 2022 that they kind of like added a coating on the road and then gray trap on top. Why did they do that?
Seal coating?
Thank you.
Yep.
So why was that done if we're doing this 2 years later?
A lot of it again is when that funding source comes in. We found out about that, it was end of '22. So that kind of pushed everything up to move that project, up in the CIP. So
To do the,
So
to
seal,
redo the
Seal
resurfacing.
so we do seal coating across the village as much as we can to try and maintain the length or the longevity of the streets, but eventually they're breaking down underneath.
so the word seal coating is
The
different
tar.
than the resurfacing.
Right.
Resurfacing is the 3 inches.
Correct.
Thank you.
Brand new.
Okay.
Brand new
total
tar.
thickness of asphalt, yes.
That brings me into what makes it a number 3 on the grading scale. Like, how did we get, like, what ranks it? Because to my visual eye and my,
Yep.
unprofessional eye, there's 2 potholes. It looks great. There's just 2 potholes, so they seem like they can be patched and fixed in a more conservative manner.
There's a booklet that the DOT uses as a guideline. And a lot of it has to do with how much cracking, rutting,
Okay,
deterioration of the pavement itself, how long, how old it is. That's kind of what you use as a guidance to rate all the streets within the village.
So it didn't just fall into the 5-year plan, and because it's time, it's getting done regardless if it needs it or not?
We always, every fall time of the year, we look at all the PACE ratings, and then we relook at our CIP plan.
Okay,
And that kind of dictates where, one street, if it gets, seal coated or crack filled, that brings it up. Some of the other projects, depending on, or streets, depending on what the winter was like, that'll degrade them down, the age of it.
thankfully it was an easy winter. So then, how long will this 3 inches last? Another 20 years?
20 years plus.
Okay, cool. And then when would the start date be if everything passed and all was fine and dandy and October's the hopeful end date? How long will the project last, start to finish?
Typically with these types of project, it goes pretty fast. Like the St. Croix Street project, they came in with a pulverized the asphalt and the base course. Then they'll come in with a grader and regrade it up. Whatever excess material typically will salvage back to the village for reuse.
Okay,
Project like this, start to finish, I would anticipate a couple, 2 to 3 weeks.
and then we would park like on a side street, or would we still have access to our homes?
You would still have access to your homes. There might, obviously be some convenient time periods when they're, using the pulverizing machine, they're grading, paving.
Yep. Okay.
But it's very short.
I know a lot of us
duration.
have motorcycles, so getting in and out is a concern for our summertime adventures. And then on page 10,
Yes.
there are a few homeowners listed that are getting a free pass. Wondering why their street reconstruction totals are 0.
That's where you get into those notes. These asterisks.
So you
Here.
got 2 there, and then you got this whole list without asterisk.
Yeah, so this is kind of a unique situation because there's a number of units in one structure. So we're only assessing only a portion of it that was above 150 feet. And that's where that one comes
Wow.
into play.
Okay. And then where is the notes, the asterisk notes again?
They would be
Oh, right there in the fine
Yeah.
print with my bifocals. Okay. And then the last question, you guys were using the word televised for the street. Like, what does that word mean in layman's terms, please?
We send a camera down the sewer and water and take pictures and look for roots and
Okay.
breaks and
All righty. That's all I've got.
Kevin, could I just add that the Transportation Center from UW-Madison has online all the PASER criteria for each of the 1 through 10 or whatever the numbering is. So you can see what this, it's the University of Wisconsin. It's Interpro, INTERPRO .wisc.edu. And it has all the criteria.
the state requires us to submit PACER ratings.
every 2 years.
And we have to do that, why?
It's basically for, like your funding sources. That's one of the bigger criteria items that they look at when they're, you're trying to apply for these funds. That's one of the bigger items that they
So
consider.
we have to submit these PACER ratings to the state. And then if we go after funding, they look at our PACER ratings. So we've been doing this for a long time.
I know it's that dumb, but do we get more funding if our rating's out of 1?
Nope.
No, should not.
Go trash.
That's good. Hudson's taking all that up.
And Caroline, this is Gina. You're welcome to send me those, the concerns that you have, my contact information, and I'll make sure that gets to Matt for public. Yep.
Come on up.
Hey, I'm Logan Figueroa. We live at 334 5th Street, North, obviously. I think I can attest. I drive the crappiest vehicle on the entire road. I feel every bump in it. I really don't think it's that bad. But I guess my only question that I would have is, if nothing is done, how long till the road is to the point where people that live on it would want it resurfaced? Would that where it? I mean, I'm just curious, like, if left as is and just, I realize that, concrete as it breaks down, like, those potholes are going to be harder to fix and those holes are going to get bigger, but how long would the time be before it's like, okay, they go another 10 years, let's go another 20 years?
A lot of times when you try to do that dance, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So like the common sense of that, like it looks nice and it does, but if we allow that to happen, then it could be one big dump on us and then we can't keep up. I'm not going to name other towns that are by us that are struggling with this.
Okay.
But a lot of times it's just a risk that you don't want to make to do something like that, because then it all could come down and we would just be in a lot of trouble.
And we try and keep our taxes down in North Hudson. And so one of the reasons we go after this funding is to
Right, yeah.
keep our taxes down.
And I get it's not always available.
But, yeah, and we have to spend that funding by a certain date after we receive the grant.
Yeah,
And-
this is the year.
This is the year we have to spend it. And so since, the PACER rating said Fifth Street should be next and we have funding, again, helping to keep our taxes down, we want to use that funding on Fifth Street. It's next up.
And they do so many assessments. They've done so many of these that it's the right number. Like, it may not look like it, but.
All right.
And keep in mind too, with what Kevin was saying too as well, about you can space out your payments if you want to on that area. So I mean, yours was saying it was like 2,500 or something like that. So you can actually go up to 6 years. So that'd be $419 more on your taxes.
Right. Yep.
Instead of the 25,000 right away. So I mean,
2,500.
2,500. Sorry. But just saying.
Somebody almost had to.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
You'd have seen me drop
But I'm
up
just
here.
saying, like, I know it seems like a lot right away, but I mean, the roads do need to be taken care of. And if you just spread it out a little bit more onto 419 on taxes, I mean, I lived on St. Croix Street. I had to pay the extra taxes on that for what we had to do, and it wasn't that much.
All right.
Thank
all
you.
I got.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. And a vote on that would be all in favor of closing the public hearing at 7:53, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And D is possible action on engineering preliminary report.
Move to approve or accept the preliminary report.
Yep, yeah, so this is basically what they're asking, that Cedar Corp is asking the action be that we approve this report.
Okay.
Again, not approve the work, not approve the quote.
Second.
So, okay, so
Then you could say.
the village board, just approve this report, the assessment roll Schedule C, showing the affected property owners along with preliminary assessment costs are attached to this report, just so everyone that's watching this would understand what we just made a motion and seconded. Let's see, do we have to do a roll call on funding, or?
I would do a roll call on it.
Okay. Mary?
Can I just point of clarification? It's not for funding, though. We're just approving the report.
You're approving a report.
Thank
It's
you.
part of
Yes.
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 Thank you. And we'll move on to item 8. Review alcohol beverage license, Baron Class, Baron A-beer / Baron Class A, cider only, and tobacco sales license over the counter for CAPL Retail LLC, doing business as Express Lane, approval requested.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Gina, you want to give just a quick synopsis, please?
Yeah, this is the follow-up to the original application that was submitted back in April. This was the sale of Express Lane. We did at that time issue them a provisional Class A beer and Class A cider only, and this is the motion to move that from a provisional to a full license. Like all of the other holders, beverage license holders in the village, they will have to come back now in June, so bad timing on their part, to do the annual renewal. So this is moving from preliminary that was approved to a full, and then they'll be back in June. So
So-
it's what they have today and what the previous Express Lane had.
Okay.
So again, this is just addressing the beer. And
No liquor in this
And
one.
the cider does not address the alcohol that they talked about at the last, or when they first applied, you know, for having the small bottles that they talked about at that time. And so if that comes into the next one, that'll be addressed in the June meeting when we approve all the other licenses, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
I have a question about the fire inspection and the health inspection, the retail food establishment inspection. It looked like there was no findings on either of those and no correction orders, but it was kind of hard to understand the way that it was set up, saying there's violations, but then there's nothing in the comments. So does that mean there are no violations if the comments are blank?
Let's see. Where do you see that?
So if you go
On
to
the
the
fire
very end,
inspection?
the very end is the health inspection, and so it's page 1 of page 2 under operator. It says the violations in operating procedure, physical arrangement indicated below must be corrected by the next routine inspection. And then it says comments, nothing.
Yeah,
So I'm
the-
assuming that means there's nothing.
Correct. It's just a standard ballpark, you know, they just send that out, and then if there was violations, it'd be right under there. But that's just a standard piece of
Thank
paper
you.
that they send you.
Okay, and it looks like the fire is the same, like, you know, correct these things, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And only stuff down there would be stuff that's like mandatory that they're gonna circle back and check on. Other things like that, if you see a small violation, they just tell them to do it if they don't think it's worth their time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so that, we're good with that we've discussed. All in favor of the motion is made to extend it for the next month until they have to reapply, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 9 is Plan Commission. I don't believe they met.
Did not meet.
Item 10, Personnel and Finance Committee recommendations, claims approval requested.
Stan, can I move to recommend the board to approve the May 2024 non-recurring claims of $129,529.38?
Thank you, Kirk. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brian. Discussion?
What are the big numbers?
The biggest numbers that we have for this month is the $67,735, which is the first installment of our fire department dues. The next biggest one was a interest payment of $15,500 for our general obligation bond.
And all of this is located on our website. This is a thing we've added this year with our new administrator to kind of clarify, so it just makes it easier for the village of North Hudson to read special numbers that are out of the ordinary. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Thank you, Kirk, for clarification. Okay, any other comments on claims or questions? Hearing none. Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
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 Thank you. Item B, 2024 staff and equipment service rates. Approval requested.
Stan, move to approve.
Thanks, Brian. Is there a second?
Second. Barb.
Barb,
Second.
thank you. Any discussion? We review these every year, and we adjust accordingly because of salary increases. I don't believe there was any increases on the equipment
Correct. That's
and,
correct.
and rates, so the only increases would have been for, thanks, Brian. And so,
We also lost a lawnmower.
what's that?
We sold the lawnmower, so that one got removed, that service.
The lawnmower. Yep.
Okay, but, so, this is just, an annual event. Any other discussion or questions?
So Gina, this is used if someone needs work done or the village needs to do work that would be assessed to a party, or if business needs to hire additional law enforcement as part of our approval of their license expenditure or something like that.
That is correct. Yep.
Thank you.
And we're not hiring out like our public works. It's not it's kind of if we have to do it, this is what our rates are. We're not looking for bids from people.
And it shows what our front end loader on here. That doesn't mean you can rent it from us.
Stuff like that.
Or the police cars.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, it's just approval requested, so all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Item C, review of and possible approval of motion statements for requested additional capital spend. Number 1 is new cameras and door access for the village hall. Excuse me. Is there a motion?
I move to purchase and install surveillance cameras and door access improvements at the Village Hall and Public Works Garage with subscription access to recordings for 10 years at a cost not to exceed $76,700. Expenses related to the Village Hall to come from Public Buildings Outlay account, and expenses related to Public Works Garage to come from the Capital Building Improvement account.
Thank you, Mary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Dusty. Discussion? Hearing none. Mary, you made the motion. You want to start?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Let's see. Next one is new cameras for the Public Works Garage.
Nope. We did that. Remember?
We double
Those are
dutied.
combined.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Those are both done together. So the next would be then new cameras for Ferry Landing.
Stan, can I move to approve and install cameras at Ferry Landing with subscriptions across access to record for 10 years at a cost not to exceed $11,500 from capital and other outlet accounts?
Thank you, Kurt.
A second.
Thanks, Barb. Discussion? Questions? Comments? Hearing none. Let's see, that's outlay, Brian?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
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 thank you. And new cameras for Browns Beach. I believe we postponed that in finance, so because we want to do a little more. We need some better numbers on the cost and what it would be involved in. We don't have those right now, and so we'll put that on the postponed until we have better information. Okay, on to who? Number 5, water source for community garden.
Stan, I motion to approve a $3,000 from unassigned funds to create a water source for the new community garden.
Thank you, Kirk. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Dusty? Comments, questions?
So at Eaglewood Park, we're putting raised garden beds, and then we're gonna get water over there so they could use it to water. We're also looking at maybe adding a suggestion of catching of the water, so we won't have to use all of our water all the whole time.
And when we discuss this at finance, I think it might be helpful for people to understand that all of these items are based on savings or unspent items that we had budgeted for that were turned out. Gina was able to find a way to get the HVAC, so we didn't need to replace it. So we have funds that we can spend for some of these improvements without taking any bites out of the budget.
Thank you, Mary, for that qualifications. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Let's see, there's a spend, so Mary?
Yes.
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. And item 6, additional EAB, Emerald Ash Borer Tree Removal Funds.
Stan, I motion to approve $5,000 of additional funds for the EAB tree removal.
Thank you, Kurt,
I
for a
second.
second.
I second.
Thanks, Barb. Comments, questions, or discussion?
So what we understand is this is a second installment or a second step towards removing the diseased trees, and there's still additional trees that we haven't budgeted for that we'll have to think about for our next year's budget,
That is
2025.
Yeah. And we are moving in a priority order that was established by an arborist as far as which trees represent the most danger. And then any trees that the Public Works team themselves are unable to do due to size or complexity, we are leveraging a tree company to help with those, and that is included in these expenses.
Okay, any other discussion? I know I've had, just as a side comment, I've had different, or I've had a couple people in the village ask about what the village, is there a plan, or if do we have a preferred tree service, and we don't endorse any particular public or business out there, and we don't, if it's on private property, it's up to the property owners to address the ash borer, and so that's just to hope everybody will understand that, yeah, we don't have a private fund for that. So any other discussion? Hearing none. Let's see, Mary, it's your turn, I think.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Alrighty then. Item 11, chair update from the Public Works Committee.
Dan, we did not meet. I have nothing to bring forward.
Thank you. Let's see. Public safety. Let's see, Mary's got that now.
Yeah, I'm going to say I don't have an update. I will chair my first meeting this week.
All right, thank you very much. And let's see, so they haven't met. How about public welfare, Kirky?
Did not meet?
Not meet. Park board?
We did meet, because it's technically 2 in here, so we met in this month. It hits around, but we did meet for the first one. Moving the park is coming back, and excited about the community garden, and then the pickleball courts are going to be, they're being kind of drawn up now. We'll have the proper size pickleball courts down at, gosh, whatever that's called. And then we're moving the other pickleball court, and we're putting a basketball hoop there.
Summers?
So, yeah, there we go, Summers. So they should have the proper size. We misjudged the first time, but we'll learn this time. And I want to say congratulations on your first election. Everything's been wonderful. I mean, you always have to do your first one, so
Yes,
you
I
made it.
survived.
You're still here,
I'm still here.
so congratulations.
Okay. And let's see, item 15 is convene into closed session. The board may convene into closed session pursuant to statute 19.85, parent 1, parent lower case E, to deliberate or negotiate the purchase of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session with respect to sewer and interceptor agreements, ad hoc committee updates. Gina, do we have anything?
We do.
Felt like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's, I
Okay.
mean, it's not a lot, but I can give an update.
All right, well,
Session,
then I need a motion for,
And I motion to go into closed session.
thank you, Kurt.
Second.
Brian, thank you. All in favor of going into closed session at 8:10, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thank you.